everybody, and welcome to the Football Philosophy channel. And it's a little break from the Premier League football. I'm pretty sure anybody who's watched me regularly will understand now that I'm an absolute football fanatic. I'm a Man United fanatic. When the international break's looming upon us, when I can see United's last game, which happens to be a disaster, the last game against Leicester, but when I can see United's last game looming ahead of me and I think, oh, it's going to be 2 weeks now, no more Premier League football or FA Cup or Europa League as we happen to be in, basically no more Man United and other games that I watch as well. So I'm always a little bit despondent leading up to that last game and then maybe for 24 hours after it, but pretty soon I start to think to myself, it isn't that bad international football, and I start having a look at what's coming up in the international arena, whether it be European qualifiers, World Cup qualifiers, even friendlies. I get a bit of interest out of what, depending on who's playing, England games obviously, and games that United players might be playing in, whatever nation they are, and I like watching the other top nations and the other home nations. So there's plenty to look at and plenty to talk about, and it happens to be World Cup qualifiers that are starting, which is probably the most interesting of all. The World Cup is in Qatar in 2022. It's the first World Cup ever to take place in the winter time, the European winter time, I should say, as opposed to being in the summer for Europeans as it normally is. There's 32 teams going to be in Qatar next November, I think it starts, and Qatar as the host are already there. They qualify as the hosts, so to speak. So there's 31 teams available to be battled for from teams around the world, of which 13 teams will be from the European groups. The holders used to qualify. England have only ever won the World Cup once in 1966. When they won the World Cup in 66, they qualified for the next tournament in Mexico as the holders, and that used to be the way. I can't remember till when. I'm pretty sure it was at least until the 1990s or maybe even the 2000s, but they used to have the holders qualifying automatically as well as the hosts. I believe that should never have changed. I believe if you're the holder of that cup, you should have a chance to defend that trophy without any doubt. I believe that. I'm sure, I feel certain within myself, I could be wrong, but I feel as though it's all money orientated. Obviously the big nations get the bigger followings at tournaments. The big nations get the bigger followings on TV. The TV play fortunes to have football on TV, whether it's Premier League football or World Cup football. So if you look at the big nations, if Brazil have already qualified for the World Cup, they don't have to play any qualifiers if they've won it. I would have said England, but it's that long since England won it. I won't mention England. But if France have won it recently, Germany, occasionally win it. It's always a really big nation, and the big nations have the biggest followings, not just at stadiums, but on the TV, of course, all around the world. People want to see the best teams play. So it's my belief that they stopped giving an automatic choice, an automatic place to the holders, just so that those big nations have always got to go through qualifying. So you've not got Germany not going through qualifying games or Brazil not going through qualifying games, and them being in qualifying games makes money. Simple as that. That's the reason I believe it's for. There might be other reasons, somebody might be able to say in the comments, but I can't think of any other reasons. So in Europe, 13 teams qualified. There's 55 teams trying to qualify from Europe. There's 10 groups. There's 5 groups of 5 and 5 groups of 6. The winning team from each group qualifies automatically, and then the runner-up from those 10 groups goes into playoffs along with 4 teams. It's a bit tricky to follow, but 4 teams who finished the highest in the recent UEFA Nations League tournaments. The teams that finished highest in their groups, so long as they haven't already qualified as the winners of a group, if whoever was highest in those UEFA Nations League groups goes into the qualifiers along with the 10 runners-up in the European groups. Two, not four. Two of those teams from the Nations League groups. That'll make 12 teams, and then when they've got 12 teams, they've already got 10 through, so they've got 12 teams. Those 12 teams will be split up into 3 mini tournaments. So there's 4 in each mini tournament. This is just from Europe. So there'll be 4 teams. That's the 12 teams being the 10 runners-up in the 10 groups, and 2 teams who did well in the UEFA Nations League. That makes 12. Those 12 teams will be split into 3 groups of 4, and then the winners of those 3 groups will qualify for the World Cup, giving us an extra 3 teams on top of the 10. So to win it, guaranteed, to get through, I should say guaranteed, you need to finish top of the group. But if you finish second in your group, you will go into a group of 4, from which it's not going to be played as a group, that group. From that group, there'll be a draw, and they'll play an automatic knockout game, a semi-final, and the 2 teams will play off in the final. It should be quite exciting, actually. But that's how the runners-up have got a chance of still getting through to go into another group of 4, which will be 2 semi-finals and a final. So to win, to get through automatically, you need to finish first in the group. Second in the group, you'll go into a qualifying group, and 13 teams will get through. England have got 3 games over the next week. England's group is, I think it's probably the weakest group of all. There's one other particular, Hungary are not bad, but there's one other particularly good team in the group, Poland. But then they're in with San Marino and Albania and Andorra. San Marino and Andorra are 2 of the main whipping boys, I think, in European football. So in England to get both of those teams in the same group, it is a pretty weak group. England's games, the first 3, these are all World Cup qualifying games. Tomorrow, Thursday, they play San Marino. On Sunday, they play Albania. That should be 6 points in the bag straight away. And then they go into the big one next Wednesday. They play Poland. In the squad, there's Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, there's Henderson, Marcus Rashford, and Jesse Lingard's in the squad as well. So you will see some United players. I don't think Rashford will play. He's been filmed limping into the England squad hotel. I don't think Rashford will play. Maguire might play all the games. Luke Shaw, I expect to play at least 1, maybe 2 games. I'm not sure about Dean Henderson. These are qualifying games. He's not going to want to mess about too much. But then again, if you can't mess about, they're playing San Marino in the first game. If he can't change his team around, when I say change his team around, that's the first game. But if he can't give lads a game who he's not going to be playing in the next few games against San Marino, when can he give lads a game? So Henderson, I think, might have a chance of playing against San Marino. But come the next 2 games, Albania, which is a little bit tougher, quite a bit tougher, but still not tough. And then Poland, which should be a tough game. I fancy Nick Pope will be the first choice keeper for those 2 games. Let's see how I get on with that. Sam Johnston as well is also in the squad, so there's 3 keepers there. I fancy Henderson might get 1 game. The sort of Poland game is next Wednesday. That's the tough game of the 3 that England are playing over the next week or so. So I'll look forward to that one. Belgium start their tournament tonight. I should say Wales. I meant to speak about Wales, really. Wales are playing Belgium. This is Group E. In Group E, it's the toughest game Wales could have to start with. It's a reasonably tough group. They're also in with the Czech Republic, Belarus and Estonia. Even Belarus can cause the odd shock. The Czech Republic are decent. And obviously the toughest team in the group is Belgium, which is where Wales are kicking off away to Belgium. Dan James will play for certain. Dylan Levitt's also in the squad. He might get some game time. That's on 7:45 tonight on Sky. I think that's Group E. I think at best Wales can aim for second spot in that group, and obviously they'll be aiming to win it, of course they will, but I'll be stunned if they can finish above Belgium. So I think Wales will be looking to fill one of those spots in the qualifying stages that I've just explained, so that they'd end up in a semi-final and hopefully a final to then get through to the World Cup. In Group A tonight at 7:45, this is on Sky Sports Football. Serbia versus the Republic of Ireland. That's a tough group for the Republic. Serbia is the second-ranked team in that group. And they'll be playing Serbia tonight. Also in that group are Portugal. So Republic are going to have the work cut out, finishing second in that group to get into those qualifiers. And Serbia versus the Republic is the second-ranked team versus the third-ranked team in that. That's at 7:45 tonight on Sky Sports Football. Also, I'm recording this show on Wednesday afternoon. It probably won't go out until Wednesday evening. This game will probably be already underway. It might even just be finished. But at 5 o'clock tonight, the first game is Turkey versus the Netherlands. That's a 5 o'clock kickoff on Sky Sports Football. Van der Beek, I don't think Van der Beek will play. He's not getting enough game time at United. I'll be surprised if he starts. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get on as a sub. Daley Blind should be playing for the Netherlands. I love watching Daley Blind, so I will be watching that game at 5 o'clock. Turkey and the Netherlands are the top two ranked teams. So the top two ranked teams in Group G are playing each other straight off in the first game. The third ranked team in that group are Norway. So that's a decent group as well, I think, for hopefully Donny van der Beek will get some game time for United soon and then start getting more games for the Netherlands in the next international break. But I don't see him starting in that one. I'll be surprised. Also tonight in Group D starts tonight. You've got France versus the Ukraine. Paul Pogba and Anthony Martial are in that squad, the French squad. That's on Sky Sports Premier League, also at 7:45. This is Group D. I think Pogba will play for France tonight. I imagine he will, and I think Anthony Martial's got a good chance of starting. I've seen what the French manager has been saying about Martial after the last international break. I think he's impressed by him. I don't think he saw the best of Martial when Martial was playing under Jose Mourinho, and I think his eyes were opened a little bit. His eyes were probably only opened because Martial scored a few goals last season, or quite a few goals last season, and the media in England started to boost Anthony Martial's profile. I believe that's why he started to have another look and think, he's not bad. Then he's gone on duty with France, didn't score goals, but played well. And I think he's then given him a better coat of looking at, if you like, and thought, this lad's a player. So this season, we're now in a position this season where Anthony Martial, we're well into the season. We're coming up towards the running. He's only scored 4 league goals. He scored 7 goals in the whole season in all competitions, and he's still in the French squad. So he's now not picking him in the French squad because he scored a lot of goals last season. He's picking him in the French squad because he now realises he's a player. And I won't be surprised one little bit. I fancy it might be Giroud at number 9. They use Martial as number 9. It might be Giroud, but it won't surprise me one bit if it was Martial. And it would surprise me if Martial doesn't at least get some game time. I've seen what he's been saying about him after the last break, international football, and I think he now rates Anthony Martial as he should have been doing before he scored a few goals. He didn't need to score 17 goals last season to become a good player. So I'm looking forward to that one tonight. I want to watch Wales v Belgium, and I also want to watch France versus the Ukraine. I'll probably watch Wales v Belgium. I'll probably record France and the Ukraine and watch it as live after I've watched the Belgium-Wales game. So that's Group D, Sky Sports Premier League. Back to Group A, which is the Republic of Ireland group. There's also Portugal versus Azerbaijan tonight. Bruno could be playing for Portugal. Portugal are the top-ranked team in their group. Azerbaijan are the bottom-ranked team in their group, so I don't think I'll be bothering with that one. And that is on Sky Sport if you want to watch Bruno play, perhaps. That's on Sky Sports via the red button tonight. That's Group A, Portugal versus Azerbaijan. Tomorrow, England start. Also starting tomorrow is Group F. Scotland versus Austria is tomorrow night in Group F. And Northern Ireland are away to Italy tomorrow in Group C. So they're playing the toughest game in their group in the very first game. I'll be surprised if Northern Ireland get something there. He has done a great job there, the boss at Northern Ireland. Whether they'll manage to get something in Italy, I'd be pretty surprised. But always say you don't know. They have been playing pretty well, so they certainly were last season anyway. So I'll be back tomorrow. I'll be talking about the results tonight, whichever games I watched. I'll be talking about the England team that'll probably be named. I imagine they might name it tomorrow afternoon. There'll certainly be a lot of people having a guess at what the England lineup will be. So I'll come back tomorrow to discuss that. I've also still got to do my player in focus from the Leicester game, which I said I would do on Nemanja Matic, pointing out the fact that he only gave the ball away poorly 3 times, even though people are giving figures out that he gave the ball away 8, 9 or 10 times. In my opinion, and I'm going to show all the clips, I think he only gave it away poorly 3 times, which was less than most. I hope you've enjoyed that show. If you've enjoyed that show, just before I do go, apologies if this goes up late. As I said, I have recorded it Wednesday lunchtime before the Republic of Ireland, before the Netherlands game against Turkey. I imagine by the time it goes up, that game might already be over. I hope I can get it up quicker than that. But I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you've enjoyed the show, please tell all your friends. Please subscribe. If you didn't enjoy it, don't tell anybody. Keep stum.